Om Sahana Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Chapter 14. Meditation. The section Practical Vedanta started explaining the basic human constitution. What is the human being made up of? And we studied that from various angles. Every human is a combination of spirit and matter. And matter is divided into three: body, mind, intellect. And spirit is the life principle, the God principle, Atman, Brahman, self, soul, pure consciousness, etc. And then he introduced vasanas, which is subtler than the mind and intellect, the cause of the mind and the intellect. And then he explained the same thing from the Pancha Koshas: Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Jnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. And then we divided that into three bodies: gross body, subtle body, causal body, and the pure consciousness, the standing there. So all these angles we studied, and then how this gross body produces subtle body, takes you to this, and all when you study, that leads to an understanding that what is my position. That's where self-inquiry starts. So once you understand the basic constitution of a human being, immediate question that comes is, okay, now what is my constitution? Now the question arises, what is my real status? Am I that body, the mind, the intellect, vasanas, or the spirit? What is my real status? That inquiry he starts. That's the next chapter, self-inquiry. Now, when you do the self-inquiry, you come to realization that at different point of time, you are taking different positions. At one point of time, you are assuming yourself to be the waker, experiencing the waking world. At another point of time, you take a position of a dreamer, experiencing the dream state of world. And then at another point of time, you assume the position of a deep sleeper, experiencing the deep sleep world. Thus, we studied the three states of consciousness that is known to us. But the scriptures proclaim that you don't belong to these three states. You belong to the fourth state, Turiya, which is unknown to you. What is known to you is these three states. What is unknown to you is the fourth state, Turiya. Now, immediately, the person would ask this question, okay, now how am I to catapult myself to that fourth plane of consciousness? How am I to experience that fourth plane of consciousness? Is it for which you need to go through a systematic, disciplined way? There, he introduces the next chapter, the 4 yogas. Hatha Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So when you practice these spiritual disciplines, then you get into a state of detachment, renunciation. I'm just recapping the whole thing so that it's easy for us to position where this chapter meditation comes, how this chapter meditation is telescoping itself. All the ideas we have studied so far leads us to this point. After you reach that state of detachment, renunciation, then you take to the final act, the last plunge, the last discipline, final spiritual discipline, that is meditation. So this is what we have. This is where meditation chapter comes into picture. Now, before we go into this, if you are thinking of meditation the way that is known to the world today, then my recommendation is you can switch off. Right? Not only this, for another few months you can have a holiday, chutti from class. Right? So you can take off. It will take at least a month or so for me to complete this chapter meditation. So 1 month holiday you can have from class and come back in the next chapter, state of self-realization. Because we believe meditation is something that we plunge in as a stress buster. I'm so disturbed, sir. How am I to handle my agitation? They say meditate. Through meditation, you can find peace to your mind. You can calm your mind. You can get this. Now, that is not the position of Vedanta. Now, if you ask me, sir, who is the authority? Who am I to follow? I prefer to follow Vedanta. Full stop. Now, you have your own choice to make. But before you make any choices, you should be making an informed choice. Don't simply go by the herd, majority. That's what Ramtirtha says. If number has to be taken into consideration, then Satan's religion has more followers. So that becomes correct. If number comes into picture, it's not the number, please. Now we need to know who is authority in spiritual discipline. The position of dhyana given in Patanjali's system. What is that step, sir? First step, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. These are steps. Which step is that? Seventh step. It's like you go to 7th standard. You cannot enroll your child on 7th standard directly without sending him to 1st and 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5, 6, without studying those 6 standards. If you put him, not possible. It is like asking the person to build. A builder is constructing. You are asking a builder, I have booked the 7th floor. First, I have paid you. Therefore, forget about 1st floor, ground floor, foundation and all that. Build the 7th floor first and give it to me. I don't care. And the builder were to tell you, if you ask, I can understand. If any builder were to come and tell you that, sir, it doesn't matter. You pay first come, first serve basis. If the seventh floor person pays first, we will build the seventh floor first and give it to him. Afterwards, we will start working with reference to the foundation work. It is something like that. You see, traditionally, it's not. This is yoga system. Okay, you come to Vedanta. In Vedanta, one of the authoritative texts we have is the Bhagavad Gita. And in Bhagavad Gita, we are having a chapter dedicated for Dhyana, sixth chapter, titled as Dhyana Yoga, Yoga of Meditation. And you read the chapter, you'll be surprised. 47 verses are there. He spends 4 verses to explain the entire meditation. He covers the whole meditation in 4 chapters, in 4 verses. And then what is the rest of the 43 verses he is talking about? That and all, don't worry. And every time he is referring to that, he goes on repeating again and again and again the requirement, the qualification that is needed for a person to meditate. And without fail, every verse where Krishna refers about meditation throughout the Gita, he will say a qualified mind should meditate. What is a qualified mind? A peaceful mind, a matured mind alone should plunge into meditation. Now, our stand today is to get to peace, I am meditating. Exact opposite. Krishna says a peaceful mind should meditate. Our argument will be, sir, if I am already peaceful, why should I meditate? You see, if you are already peaceful, why do you have to meditate then? I don't need meditation itself, first of all. First of all, if I'm peaceful, I don't even need God actually. The fact that we are going to God, we are going to temple is only for what? So, Krishna's stand, the traditional stand, Vedantic stand is after peace, you go to meditation. For peace, you cannot get into meditation. Then what is the mistake we make? Another mistake we make is we plunge into meditation expecting some mystical experience, some powers. Some of them will say, I am lacking concentration. The student is lacking concentration. How to build concentration to the student? They say, teach meditation. Through meditation, you gain concentration. And what does Vedanta says? What is Krishna saying? He says, a mind which has the capacity to concentrate should attempt meditation. A concentrating mind should go for meditation. You cannot be going to meditation for building concentration. You're putting the cart before the horse. It will not work. Then what is the problem? We are going to see all that. Don't worry. I'm only saying what is the wrong idea we have. Okay. Then finally, third point. The first one, this is not for peace. As a stress buster, meditation cannot be for, finding peace. Okay, can I go to meditation for some experience. I can feel God. You know, I feel so alleviated. This, that, something they say, some mystical thing. Suddenly I see someone appearing in front of my eyes. Krishna says, you are hallucinating. Get up. You see, you can't say, I hear bell ringing. I see this person coming and talking to me. He says, get up from the seat of meditation and walk out. Why? It is hallucination. Finished. Now you can say, sir, that was such a beautiful experience, such a divine experience. You can call anything. Krishna is not going to listen to you. You can say anything. So meditation is not for that. And then comes the big blow. Third one. Okay. At least will I get realization? Will I get self-realization? Finally, he will say that meditation cannot bring you self-realization. There is no cause and effect relationship between meditation and realization. There's no cause and effect relationship. Then why should I meditate? There's no cause and effect relationship. But without meditation, can this happen? Not possible. Realization cannot happen. But is meditation producing realization? No. Hey, why do you confuse all the time? People get annoyed with Vedanta people. I say this exactly like when you pull the screen, there is darkness. Inside the room is full of darkness. The master says, pull the curtain. You'll get light. And you pull the curtain. And the room is lighted. Now the question is, how the light came in? Because you pulled the curtain. Suppose if you have pushed the curtain, if you have closed, you would still continue to be in darkness only. Just because you have pulled the curtain, sunlight is not obliged to enter. Isn't it? I have pulled the curtain. Therefore, sunlight has to come in. Suppose if sunlight decides not to enter, just a hypothetical one, okay? Imagine, no. Just because you have, it's like, just because you have given invitation doesn't mean Prime Minister has to come to your house. Isn't it? He doesn't have to come. That is his choice. He may come, he may not come. You are having a function, you are sending an invitation. You can extend your invitation, but accepting or rejecting is his prerogative. Similarly, the sunlight entering the room is the sunlight's prerogative. But one thing guaranteed from the sunlight, what is it? Guarantee is what? I will enter. But I am not so violent that I will penetrate the curtain, burn that curtain, pull the curtain and enter the house. No, that way I will not come. So I will come, provided you remove the curtain, I'll enter. But you removing the curtain cannot be the cause of it. Because if it is a cause and effect, anytime you remove the curtain, sunlight should enter. Not necessarily, you say. Same way here. What are you doing through meditation, sir? You are removing the curtain. Just removal of the curtain, that's it. Remove the curtain, light is there. So remember, that is how it is. There is no cause and effect relationship. The act of meditation, because meditation is an action. No doubt, it is the subtlest possible action by the human. Correct. Most refined. Final act is by him. Correct. By a human is meditation. But nevertheless, it is still an action. It is still finite. That effort is still finite. A finite effort cannot bring about infinite effect. Then what is happening, sir? Finite effort removes the finite obstruction, obstructing as it were that infinite entering. So your finite effort removes the curtain. You have the darshan of the sun. What is the size of the sun and what is the size of your curtain? Forget about the curtain. Here, it's not even curtain actually speaking. Isavasya Upanishad says. Fascinating statement of Isavasya Upanishad. Andam tamah praveshanti. Evidyam upasate. Those who are reveling in this, mundane, wherein blinding darkness. Those who are involved in the worldly activities, worldly things, sensual, materialistic life, all those people, where are they, sir? They are in blinding darkness. That is why I'm attending Vedanta class and spiritual things. I enjoy spiritual. I enjoy your class. Isavasya says, you are in greater darkness. How fascinating to see that. Hey, how is it? What can be more darker than a blinding darkness? If you are there in the world, if you are watching Netflix, blinding darkness. You are attending Vedanta class, you are greater darkness now. What can be greater than blinding darkness? Blinding darkness. Not normal darkness. Blinding darkness means you cannot see your own hand. That's called blinding darkness. Total dark. What is the total darkness? Those who are involved there, the darkness is outside. Those who are involved in spiritual, what is that problem, sir? They have closed their eyes. You see, if there is darkness in the room, I can bring a matchstick, I can bring some, that glowing worm, I can bring some fire, I can bring electricity and put a bulb, there is a possibility to light. You can see things. Imagine you have closed your eyes. What I can do to make you see? What can be done? What can I do? Any amount of, I'm increasing light. And that is what he says. Spiritual one is blinding. Much more than that, he says. Why? Because when the light gets more intense, automatically what you do to your eyes. That's why those who are driving in the night, they say it is quite risky. Why is that? Because you are constantly seeing the oncoming headlights. Your eyes will go and keep hitting that light, it will go on seeing. When you keep on seeing that light, automatically your eyes closes. You go on gaining spiritual knowledge. You study this, you study that, you learn this, you learn that. You are gaining knowledge. Effect is what? Over a period of time, automatically you will close your eyes. After that, impossible. You can see anything. There is a scope, there is a possibility for a person who is suffering from darkness outside. There is no solution can be offered to the person who is refusing to open his eyes. Meditation is that final plunge of yours to open your eyes. That's all. Just because you had opened your eyes doesn't mean there has to be light outside. Isn't it? It's not necessary. But without you opening your eyes, is there a possibility for you to see anything? You can never see. Without your eyes being opened, no way you can see. Similarly, this meditation is not practiced for peace. You cannot do that. If you are going to be studying this chapter, meditation, expecting that through this you are in the wrong place. Through meditation, am I going to be, through these practices, will I get something, sir? Some light I will experience, some God will appear in front of me. Will something like that happen? Something will rise. I say that's a tickling effect. The Kundalini will rise, it will not. Some experience will I get, this, that, and that's what Patanjali is, Yoga Sutra he does. He describes at various stages of this dhyana, various things you will experience, all that powers you get, so many things happens. He'll describe all that in detail. Finally, he says, ignorant people, Mood-atmas, they are the ones who will practice dhyana for these things. Will get interested in that easy. Will dismiss the whole thing, finally. I read that, I used to wonder, then why he is giving all the details, There's no need to give all the details. But it is interesting to see. We get into it for some experience. Mystical? No. Is it a cause and effect relationship? No. Then why should I do it? Because your mind had reached that state of meditativeness. Since your mind had become meditative, it slides into the act of meditation. This act of meditation just happens to you automatically. That is a final point. That's what he will explain last, in fact. The conclusion of the procedural details when he goes, he'll explain that. So what is that he is going to explain is these are the points. Whatever I said so far, the points will be detailed in this chapter. So first, he starts with the technique. What is the technique of meditation? Then he goes through the principle of meditation. And in meditation, you are going to be taking up a particular mantra. And of the mantra, the most potent one, most natural one is the mantra Om. So the symbol Om is studied. Then certain procedural details with reference to the practice of meditation. How you have to go through the whole thing. Then finally, how meditation leads you to realization. What is the relationship? How this catapults you to that. So, what is this meditation, sir? So, remember the purpose you got to keep in the background. Purpose is not for all these things. Then, for what? That we will see later. As you read the chapter, we will get to know that. But what you need to understand first is this is done for this purpose. Suddenly my system says it should restart. If I should put up my system to restart, means we have to have next week only class. Now, what is this chapter meditation? Technique of meditation. A human stands out supreme amongst all living beings by virtue of possessing both gross and subtle intellects. The intellect is the faculty of thinking, reasoning, judging, deciding. It is designated as gross when this faculty operates in the terrestrial realm. As the thinking is confined to the presence of the world, and when it transcends the terrestrial world to conceive the transcendental, it is termed subtle. The subtle intellect distinguishes the eternal from the ephemeral, the real from the unreal. It is used in meditation to attain spiritual enlightenment. No other being possesses this unique faculty. At best, animals can claim to have a rudimentary gross intellect, that with which a dog distinguishes its master from a stranger, food from dirt, etc. But it cannot stretch beyond that. Beyond the minuscule part of the terrestrial world, no animal possesses a subtle intellect. The first thing is giving is what is the equipment that you are going to be employing in meditation. Now, this is the first thing we need to remember. When you say, I am going to meditate, go back to the first chapter we studied, human composition. Who is in you going to meditate? I am getting educated. What is in you getting educated? You are going to school. How did you come to school? By walk. You walked and entered the school. So you entered the school using your legs. So your legs are going to get educated. I heard all the lectures given by the professor through my ears. Is my ears getting educated? All these things were run through the brain only, sir. Therefore, is the brain getting educated? If you take brain and dissect it, you can never find where is mathematics. Trigonometry. Where is trigonometry inside the brain? Calculus. Algebra. There's no such thing. Nowhere it is. Then what is getting educated? Similarly, who is meditating in you? When you say, I am going to meditate, which part of you is going to be doing that meditation? And that is why he is introducing first. He says, which part of it is going to be critical one? He introduces in the very first paragraph. And in no meditation classes in the world, they talk about this. This is where the problem is. That's why teaching meditation is very easy. Not a problem at all. It was so simple. I just have to give you instructions. 3 days meditation class is over. Whereas a Vedanta class is going on. This one text we are studying, Vedanta Treatise. It's already 1 year. In this, I did not do the first section, Introduction to Vedanta. I didn't do in detail. Not like how we are doing now. Paragraph by paragraph studying, I didn't do. We just took as one topic, one class. Tack, we finished and we moved on. If I would have started that, I know in this classroom, there are people who are attending these classes for the last 20 years, still learning. And there are people who are senior to me. They were learning Vedanta much before me. Now, I started in 92. Okay. Vedanta study. So I've been studying other things. But Vedanta was not, I had no idea. I've never heard that word Vedanta also. See, now, I said, this is what it is. And they have been studying, they are senior to me. And they are also sitting in the class and listening. So long you have to study. Whereas you go to the meditation class, in 3 days, you can teach meditation. You can become a meditation instructor. All that you have to do is what? Cross your legs, sit, vertebral column erect, head and neck erect. Close your eyes gently. Keep your mind vacant of all thoughts. Finished. Up to that point, you can follow. Keep your mind vacant of all thoughts. Finished. How can you keep your mind vacant of all thoughts? If your mind has become vacant of all thoughts, is that meditation? Vacuum is meditation. Why do you want to get into vacuum things? Instructions are very simple. But the moment you ask the question, if I have to practice meditation, which part of me is actually going to engage in meditation? And that's why he says, you have got 2 types of intellect. Remember, we are studying Vedanta Treatise. This book you are supposed to be studying after you have studied the fall of human intellect and the Holocaust of attachment. And we are right now in this book, 13 chapters over, 14th chapter. Okay. Now I cannot be explaining what is the difference between intelligence and intellect. Intellect is different, intelligence is different, and intellect is having to. Now he straight away starts here. Says, there are 2 types of intellect you have. One is called as gross, another one is called as subtle. What is the gross intellect? Intellect is what? Your capacity to think, reason. Your reasoning, your judging capacity. Judging capacity in the sense, not in the political sense, social sense of, judgment and the discriminations and all that. Judging means you are able to understand a door is different from a wall. That discrimination. Discrimination means that. Discrimination is door is different, wall is different. I cannot pass through the wall. I can only pass through the door. That understanding you have, that is called intellect. That is the intellect basically. That intellect is classified into 2, gross and subtle. What is the difference, sir? When you are employing your thinking within the terrestrial to understand the differences. This is different from that. What is this and what is that? Pleasure is different from pain. A plastic rose is different from the original rose. There's a distinction. You understand all this. This is called gross intellect. Tikshna buddhi. Then, when you employ the same beyond the terrestrial, start conceiving a possibility of something beyond. Could there be anything beyond this? Not concluding. Remember this. We are not talking about the intellect is not going to be concluding and saying, yes, it is. No. That is a different thing. You may come to a conclusion, yes, there is, or you may come to a conclusion, no, there is not. We are not referring to what conclusion you arrive at, because that depends on the thinking process, the quality of the equipment, and the way you have employed that equipment, also the data that you have in hand. Insufficient data, even if you have the right formula, you can never arrive at the right answer. So you need the right equipment, and you need to employ it appropriately, and you need the proper data for you to come to right conclusions. We are not talking about conclusions. We are talking about the process. If you conceive, if you see that possibility, is there anything beyond? That is called a subtle intellect. Sukshma buddhi. He says, in this process of meditation, you are employing the subtle intellect. So first point, remember, which one, who is the critical person for meditation, sir? Who is meditating, sir? First is subtle intellect. Start from subtle intellect. The mind is merely a continuous flow of thoughts. It acts like a film in a movie projector. The film consists of a series of pictures. These pictures passing through the light in a projector's project the movie on the screen. The rapid movement of the pictures produces the solidarity of the projection. A similar projection is this world. Your mind is like the film. Your thoughts, the pictures. The rapid movement of thoughts through the light of consciousness, the self, creates the solid, substantial world. Where there is no thought flow, no mind, there is no world. Even when the mind is temporarily cut off, the world is no more, as in deep sleep. When the thoughts are completely eradicated from the mind, the world disappears. The light of consciousness alone remains. You realize your divine self. This is a principle. He is explaining what is the whole idea. Now, mind is there, intellect is there. So he explained what is intellect. Now he is explaining what is mind. What is a mind? Mind is nothing but thoughts flowing. Flow of thoughts. Because of that flow at a particular pace, there is a solid movie we see. Otherwise, it's only a pictures. When you reduce the speed in the projectors, cinema theaters, they showed that. Similarly, the pixels in your screen. When all those pixels come together, only there is proper vision you get. Proper picture is there. If the pixels are not coming together, then it is not. So it is a collection. Same way. It's a flow. And in the example, it's very interesting. You see the whole thing on the screen there. All this is happening because of what? Because of the light. But the light has got nothing to do with the movie. But without the light, is the projection possible there on the screen, sir? Not possible. So how you are seeing the whole world in the sense, which world? World means what? World of your experiences. Remember, my world. Don't say the world. Don't say the table there, computer there, wall there. Not that, please. We are not talking about that. You project something on that. The world is just a blank screen. On that, you project your movie of your world. So what are you seeing? You call your friend, asking, what are you doing? I'm watching TV. Is he watching TV actually? And you go to his house. Oh, I'll also join you, man. Please come. I'm watching TV, and he has kept, all this pakodas, onion pakoda, this one and that one, and all those things he has kept. Let's watch. And you look that direction there, it's blank. You switched off. What are you? I told you, no. Let's watch TV. Let's watch TV now. When you say I'm watching TV, understood is what? You're watching a program there. You may be watching a news channel, you may be watching a sports, maybe something or the other. A TV serial will be there, some movie, music, whatever it is. You are not watching the television, you are watching a program. You are involved in the program, you are not involved with the TV. Same way. My world. From where that world comes into picture, that world comes into picture because of your thoughts. But you see there is a seamless movement. It looks so real. Actually, it's not real at all. You see that, Bahubali jumping from one to another, and this fellow's fighting there with, elephant, he simply pushes away. My God, unbelievable. The chariot, he just pushes the chariot and comes, and you are whistling that. All this. Suddenly, the projector speed reduces, battery low. What happens after that? After that, can you whistle for every frame? After that, what you're seeing is frame by frame is what is coming there. You can't whistle for that. You lose all your enthusiasm and involvement with reference to the movie. Similarly, you are experiencing a solid world, not because it is there, it is because of the speed of the thoughts. A particular speed is there for your thought. Like in the movies, the projector, they say, 24 frames or something like that. 24 frames per second it has to move for you to see a seamless one. 19 or 24, I don't know, something like that. Some speed. Same way, your thoughts also move. So, you never get to see the light. You are always seeing a movie. Similarly, you are totally involved in the experience of the world projected by your own thoughts. Mind is shooting very many thoughts. The flow, the speed of the thought, variety of the thought is creating the solidarity of your world. When you clear that, what happens? You will see that pure white light. Then you can experience. That is realization. You realize your divine self. The mind of the present generation is in a chaotic state. This holds good for any generation. Okay, it's not only present generation, 2021. If you were to be reading this book in 3021 also, there when you are reading the sentence, the mind of the present generation is in a chaotic state. Correct. If you would have read that same thing about 1,000 years back, there also what is it, sir? Same thing. The mind of the present generation is in a chaotic state. Why? That's the mind. Okay. Eternal truth. These are all time bound. Eternal fact of life is the mind of the present generation is in a chaotic state. People's thoughts run wildly in all directions, seeking material gain and sensual pleasure, which causes the mind to be agitated. An agitated mind cannot concentrate, much less meditate. The strategy of meditation is to converge the mind to single thought and ultimately annul it. The practice of meditation, therefore, requires a mind free from the pressures of extroverted pursuits. Mind that remains calm, composed, and has turned introvert. One attains that state through sustained physical, mental, and intellectual disciplines. Underline that. One attains that state through sustained physical, mental, and intellectual disciplines by practicing karma, bhakti, and jnana yogas, the paths of action, devotion, and knowledge. A mind thus turned introvert is made to chant a mantra, a word symbol, representing the supreme God, Brahman. The chant is known as japa. You could choose a mantra that inspires you most. In japa, the mind repeats the mantra, the intellect observes, witnesses the single thought flow. During the chant, the mind may slip into other thoughts. It has the tendency to wander away. The intellect is employed to pull the mind back to the chosen line of thought. Thus, by repeated effort, the mind is kept focused on the chanter. Meditation is the art of maintaining the mind in focus upon a chosen thought to the exclusion of all other thought. In the process of meditation, the chant is gradually brought to mental whisper to finally end in silence. The intellect remains aware of the entire proceeding until the moment of silence is reached. The silence is cessation of thought flow, which indicates extinction of the mind. The intellect, which has been observing the chant, also ceases there, as there is nothing for it to observe. What remains is pure silence, pure awareness, pure consciousness, the absolute reality, Brahman. The silence is cessation of thought flow, which indicates extinction of the mind. The intellect, which has been observing the chant, also ceases, as there is nothing for it to observe. Now, this is critical because many people say meditation means I'm observing silence. You heard that? Mind is silence, huh? I'm observing that silence. If you are observing the silence, means there is a thought. It is no longer silence actually speaking. Because there is a thought. What is the thought? I am observing the silence is a thought. There is silence, I am observing it, observing it, observing it means there is a thought. When there is a thought, how can you call that as silence anymore? You see the fallacy there. That's why he explains the whole process. That's why there's advantage in Vedanta. It explains the process completely, so you can understand it better. He says, The condition of the mind today is so disturbed, so agitated it is. This agitated mind, how can it go for meditation? Agitated mind cannot meditate. Why? Why an agitated mind cannot meditate? What is happening to the mind which is agitated? When your mind is agitated, what is happening? Oh, when you say agitation, what is happening to the mind? Yeah, I am agitated. Correct. Disturbed. Okay. What is happening to you there? Agitation means like a crowd of thoughts attempting to push themselves at the same time. A stalemate condition at the mind level. That's called agitation. It's like too many people trying to come out. Like after the movie, that's what one fellow says. When money comes, it comes like people entering the concert. How they will come in? One by one only they'll come. Like how you log in. Huh? The starting of the class, how many people are there? Log in. 4. And then slowly 4 becomes 6. 6 becomes 8. 8 becomes this. When you log in as what? You log out, how do you go? One by one. Huh? It would be so interesting for us to see, whenever we have these public lectures, amazing to see. Every time we have to tell people, just wait for another 5 minutes. The parking will get clear. You can just go away. They will not listen. Every year. Not only Bangalore. I'm not talking about only Bangalore. I thought it is only in India. I thought maybe in abroad, I go there, they're also saying same condition only. That's why he says, no, mind is same everywhere. Same mind, rushing out. But the surface of the mind is, at any given point of time, it can entertain only one thought. Surface, it can have only one. It's like that hourglass, they have no. At that time, only one grain can pass through. That's it. Imagine the whole lot is rushing and coming out. That's called agitation. Okay. When every thought is demanding itself your attention, forcing you to throw your light on that thought. Give attention to me, give attention to me, give attention to me. When they make so much of noise, what are you attempting? Shanti, Shanti, peace, peace. Inga peace. It's not a peace that you can get. What you can get is frustration only. And that's why he says, meditation. What is meditation, sir? Meditation means training that mind to get absorbed in that silence, for which the silence should be a possibility. When that silence can become a possibility, only when there is no rush in your mind for the thoughts to gush out, forcing themselves to come out. How can you not have that, sir? For that, you cannot practice meditation. For that, what you need to do? Go back to the disciplines. He says, practice this karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, the spiritual disciplines. That also you have to practice what, sir? Sustain the spiritual practices. Now, how we practice? Tuesday evening, Thursday evening, 7 to 8, I'm spiritual. After that, what are you? Allah, don't ask. No, you cannot do that. It has to be a sustained practice of karma, bhakti, jnanam, depending upon your nature and your constitution, your prioritization in your own way. Now, we are not discussing in terms of how you have to. If you have to study that, go back to the previous chapter. Go to the 4 yogas and study there. What is karma yoga? Karma yoga is refining your action. Bhakti yoga, refining your emotions. Jnana yoga, refining your thinking proper process. Through that, 3, you knock off this desires. When you knock off those desires, those vasanas, there is no pressure. The pressure will not be existing. Otherwise, what is happening to you now? By nature, the mind is in a chaotic state. Chaotic state means the mind is not capable of guiding itself. That's the meaning here. You cannot. Therefore, the chaotic flow of the traffic needs to be monitored, guided, and directed by the traffic controller, police. That is the role of your intellect. If there is no traffic controller, or if the traffic police were to be weak, and remember that 2 conditions are needed. 1, the traffic police needs to be strong and he should be there to direct the traffic. Second one is the number of vehicles also should be manageable. Isn't it? Now, imagine 1 traffic police is standing, that is why whenever they have a rally, they will never keep 1 traffic police, 1 constable. They will always be having 20, 30 policemen will be walking along with them. Why? More the number, difficult to control. Same way, when you have too many desires, your intellect will not be able to control it, monitor it, manage it. So what you do, you go back to the spiritual disciplines, practice those disciplines, and reduce the number of thoughts, number of desires, forcing itself to come. Thereafter, what will happen? Flow is reduced, and in that whole process, your subtle intellect gains its strength. Then what you do, sir? Then you introduce a mantra. Mantra is a word symbol, right? You can introduce any mantra. There's no rule we have. This is the mantra you should use. That's a mantra you should use. But for a mantra, there is a fundamental condition, right? That we will see when we go to the study of the mantras and all those things. There is a rule for a mantra. A mantra means just a sound symbol. That's all. Just a sound. Just a word symbol. When you chant that mantra, what is that? The chanting of that mantra means you are repeating the same thought. Om, 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 Om. This thought is just going on and on and on. There, he says, you will experience suddenly some thought popping up. Why? Because of a thought association. That's why it is very important to choose a right mantra, proper mantra. Say, for example, Sri Ramajayam, Sri Ramajayam, Sri Ramajayam, Sri Ramajayam, the fellow says, suddenly he will get a thought of Ramayana. Right. From Ramayana, he will get the thought of something else. From that Ramayana, he will get the thought of that, that Pauranika who gave that lecture. He was wearing a Rudraksha. No? That was, I have to check whether that is Panchamukhi or, Dvimukhi, which, from where he got. I have to find out. This. Now, where he started, where he lands. You see, it will slip in. When it slips in, that is where intellect comes in. The critical role of intellect comes in. To bring that mind back to the chant and continue. Continue that. What will happen over a period of time? The chant will slip into silence. I'll explain that in the next class. Okay. Today I'm not going to be explaining it. I'm just saying what he had said. You just keep the chant going. When the chant keeps going, slowly what happens, sir? You slip into silence. And then in that silence, mind has dissolved. Why? The definition of mind is what? Thought flow. Now, thought flow is ceased. Movie means flow of a thing. When that flow ceases, what happens? Movie is not there. No more movie. No more mind. No thought flow, no mind. When there is no mind, there is no intellect also. Intellect also dissolves itself in the silence. So intellect is not going to be observing that silence. Intellect dissolves in that silence. Thereby, mind is dissolved, intellect is dissolved. What is left out is your divine self. Thus, you get to realization. In that, he is going to be explaining every step. So here, what you need to remember, intellect, basic one. What is it, sir? Intellect is the basic point. Then you have to choose a proper mantra and prepare. Subtle intellect, point number one. Point number two, you need to prepare your mind. Pre-preparation for meditation. 3, choose a mantra and chant. These are the 3 steps. In every step, we make certain errors. Every step, we need to be taking care of few things. All that is what is going to be the entire chapter. The whole chapter is only that. Intellect, preparation of the mind, strengthening of the intellect, preparedness of the mind, and chanting of the mantra. So, intellect means subtle intellect, then preparation through the spiritual disciplines, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and the chanting of a mantra. That's called the japa. That process is known as japa. So when you are learning that process, it's called japa. When you have perfected it, it is called as dhyana, meditation. So it is the same thing. Now in the chapter, initial portion of the full chapter will be japa. Last paragraph, he will conclude it with meditation. So factually, meditation he covers in that one paragraph, finished. Rest of the chapter, what is explaining, japa only is getting explained. All the associated things to the japa. Right. So remember these points. What is not the purpose of meditation? Then what meditation cannot provide? And for meditation, what is the essential points that you got to remember first? Essentially, you got to remember, I have to have a strong intellect, and it is the intellect that is going to be the critical factor for meditation. Two, my mind should be prepared. What is the preparedness of the mind? Calm mind. How can I get that calm mind? Not by meditating. No, by the spiritual discipline. Sustained practice of the spiritual disciplines, my mind becomes calm. That calm mind picks up a mantra and practices the japa. In that japa, what happens is what he has explained so far. Right. I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.